On May 2nd, 2026, a transformation that has been years in the making finally came to fruition. The gates to the new Parkers River Landing have finally been opened. Formerly the site of the drive-in theater, this land has been reimagined into a sustainable ecosystem featuring an elevated boardwalk, restored habitats, and a kayak launch designed to work in harmony with our coastal waters. But this day wasn't just about opening a new space, it was a celebration. Alongside the grand opening, the Coastal Resilience Fair brought the community together to learn, explore, and connect. After heartfelt remarks from the people who helped make this vision a reality and the ceremonial ribbon cutting, the fair officially began. There was something for everyone to enjoy. Families gathered in the kids' zone, where face painting, games, and laughter filled the air. Nearby, local food trucks, including Veterans Lunchbox and Frosty Friends, served up delicious bites and sweet treats that were hard to pass up. Beneath the main tent, local organizations shared their work and passion, offering insight into the ongoing efforts to protect and preserve our coastline. It was a chance not only to learn, but to see how a community can come together around a shared mission of sustainability and resilience. Across the lawn, local vendors and artists showcased their work, adding even more color and creativity to the day's celebration. I personally had a blast seeing all of the pups enjoying the park too, and of course, I had to walk the boardwalk myself. It's impossible not to take in the beauty of the landscape, the water, the wildlife, and the careful balance between nature and design. Parkers River Landing is more than just a new park. It's a symbol of what's possible when a community invests in its future. And from this moment on, the future looks bright and resilient.
At the first bend on Bone Hill Road in Barnstable, this sign serves as a sort of coming attractions billboard. First-timers will catch a glimpse of bird box-covered fields, or a view of Barnstable Harbor through a veil of red cedar. They may see notifications that can only be found at a place like this, like trail signs. There's even one name for this location, and it's terrific. But whatever it is they see on their way in, the goal is to get them here, to the Visitor Center compound at Mass Audubon's Pasture Wildlife Sanctuary before they begin their trek into nature.
This is sort of your launch point, and every trail can be accessed from here. It's not to say that neighbors don't walk in from there's no way we can stop people from walking in different areas, but we're trying to channel everybody here to our Discovery Center to start their journey.
And the best place to start is right here at the beginning, where the 1,900-foot-long all-persons trail is on full display, with a meditation stretch group utilizing the center picnic area on the day that we drop by.
We're trying to bring as many people to our sanctuaries as possible, people with all abilities and all ages. So the all-persons trail concept is creating accessible trails, flat, even, predictable, that have interpretive overlays, so features along them that are interesting to folks, to get people out and about and take advantage of nature and take advantage of Mass Audubon.
As a bonus, we got a surprise visit from this special guest out on the Loop Trail. One other feature of this trail is access to the salt marsh below. From here, we get a view of Great Marsh, which covers 4,000 acres of land here along the Cape shoreline. It's also one of 5 habitats that can be found on this trail, and the Marsh Boardwalk Overlook offers up a pretty nice view of things. This property covers 100 acres, which makes it one of the smaller Mass Audubon locations. But within the confines of that acreage, visitors can find countless species and habitats. And that's a real point of pride for the folks here at Long Pasture.
we really have all the habitats you could find on Cape Cod. We've got salt marsh, we've got tidal flats, we've got oceanfront, beach, and with uplands we have open water bodies that are perennial, like ponds, and then we have vernal pools, which are temporary. We've got open fields for pollinators, we've got forested habitat, so it really is a little bit of everything.
To get a taste of that little bit of everything, we hit the trail named for this property, and the trees were awesome. It's a personal preference of mine to walk through what feels like a corridor of trees, and this fits the bill. We even came across some woodland creatures in our travels, and that really made it worth the trip, including these goats. In the big picture, Long Pasture hasn't really been around for too long. Mass Audubon received the property through a bequest in 1996 and opened to the public 10 years later in 2006. Since that time, it's been able to grow and expand its programs, and it's one of the few places that can offer up this, while at the same time being immersed in all of this. It's quite unique.
It's a treasure to have this proximity to Barnstable Harbor, overlooking Sandy Neck Barrier Beach, this amazing view of the lighthouse. It's really unique. We're really blessed to have this. And you're right, there's not a lot of places on the Cape where you can go and get the diversity of experiences that you can get here. So it really is a wonderful spot. There's a lot packed into a very small area.
According to a food access study conducted by Brigham and Women's Hospital and the Greater Boston Food Bank, 34% of households in Barnstable County suffered from food insecurity in 2024. So Cape Media Center thought we'd stop by two busy pantries in our community, Family Pantry of Cape Cod in Harwich and Cape Cod Community Pantry in South Yarmouth, to learn more on how they're helping those in need.
We have over 100 volunteers, all unpaid, and they're all committed to making a difference in our community. I think one of the things that gets lost on us being a food pantry is that these folks come in here and volunteer knowing that we're helping our neighbors. All the people that come in and need help with food are neighbors. They all live in Barnstable County, and we all live on this beautiful place called Cape Cod, and these people happen to be here.
The mission statement is to feed and clothe all in need. Very simple, very basic, and we live by it. We have 450 volunteers and that are active. We have over 600 that are time off, have a summer job, and they return. And they're all specialists in it. First people that the client sees is the check-in window. We check their ID. Are they eligible to shop? Has it been 10 days? Is there any updates needed for their information? And we hand them the current shopping list. We give that order sheet to our shopper. We call it pick and pack, and off they go. And they pick that order. They zoom around that operation, pick up the dairy, pick up the protein, pick up the produce, and probably a 15-minute turnaround for a client's order.
We have to go down to Harwich at the family pantry once a week to pick up our up to 5,000 pounds of food. So we needed a new truck because our older truck was basically on its last legs. So we made the effort and we purchased this new truck with the proper van ramp information on it so that we can go to the bigger docks and pick up the food without having to do it. We couldn't do it without it.
Sue puts in the order
for the food bank on the previous Wednesday and Thursday. So we know what's coming in off of that truck. So we know that there's going to be X amount of produce and or fruit and as to the fresh stuff. And then I would say the majority of it is going to be canned goods and frozen poultry and meat.
In the course of a week, we will put 800 shopping families through the building and 14,000 in a year. There's a lot of product that goes in the building, and there's a lot that goes out.
We'd like people to think of us as, if you have a high mortgage payment or all of a sudden a car bill or a high medical bill, let us provide the food for you. You save that money to take care of your other issues in life, and we've got the food.
Since we've been in business for a short 15 years, we've helped over 13,000 unique people with food insecurity. I believe that the people who are in a position to not work and be retired are the ones that can come in here and volunteer. But we're aging out. We need some younger people to come in and help us with what we do.
My team does their thing all over town or wherever. There's a team that comes in here in the morning to stock, put the stuff away, and do all of that stuff. And then there's the teams that come in and actually do the distributions, which is the main point of what everyone does, is to do the distributions and to help the people.
For families that don't know how they're going to feed their kids at night, we don't want kids going home to bed hungry. We want them to have a healthy lunch the next day if they don't have the school lunch program. And it means a lot to think that, we're helping that way.
At the end of a very, very busy food distribution on a Tuesday or a Thursday night, and 40, 50, 60 families or households have come through, and everybody's leaving with a whole cart full of groceries. It's very heartwarming.
Have you ever been walking down the street or driving around your neighborhood and you happen to see a tiny house on a pole? It kind of looks like a birdhouse for a really big bird, but if you take a closer glance, it's actually a free little library. Little Free Library is a nonprofit organization based in St. Paul, Minnesota. Their mission is to be a catalyst for building community, inspiring readers, and expanding book access for all through a global network of volunteer-led Little Free Library book exchange boxes. Somehow it has made it all the way to our peninsula. A Little Free Library is a free book sharing box where anyone may take a book or leave a book. They function on the honor system. You do not need to share a book in order to take one. But if you do take a book or two from a little library, try to bring some to share to that same library or another in your area when you can. If you don't feel like driving all the way around town to find these little boxes, don't worry, there is of course an app to help you. The app not only makes it easy to find little libraries wherever you are, but you can also get directions, create routes, save your favorites, and track the ones you visited. You can even start a free little library of your own. You can choose any design that you would like, or you can purchase one through the nonprofit's online store. You can apply at littlefreelibrary.org.
I am Andrew Gottlieb, the Executive Director of the Association to Preserve Cape Cod. APCC is the Cape's largest and longest existing environmental advocacy and education organization. We work on issues of concern across the region of Cape Cod. We've been around since 1968. So the mission of APCC is to help preserve and protect the environmental well-being of Cape Cod, both for current and future generations. Our programs and our scope and breadth runs from Bourne to Provincetown. Our focus changes periodically depending on what's going on. In today's world, our primary focus is on protection and enhancement of water quality. In particular, focus has been around reducing nutrient enrichment of our waters, primarily through controlling three primary sources. Septic effluent, primary means of wastewater disposal on the Cape is through backyard septic systems. Those have degraded our marine environment and our freshwater environment. And so fixing that problem and helping towns get the resources necessary to address that problem has been a primary focus of ours. We're working a lot these days on encouraging and creating the financial tools necessary to enable towns, land trusts, and local entities to preserve the remaining portion of the land of Cape Cod that is neither developed nor protected. 60,000 acres of prime habitat that will go a long way towards determining what our environmental future is. Doing a lot of work on that. We are very heavily invested in projects that restore the functioning of wetland resources, both coastal salt marshes, freshwater wetlands, and doing a lot on reconverting bogs that are no longer producing cranberries back to natural wetland systems. And then lastly, I would say our other area of discipline is in promoting good land use practices that homeowners can implement so that they can have their yards look and feel the way they want them to feel, but do it in a way that works with as opposed to against nature. We have active monitoring of a number of saltwater marsh areas where we're either planning to do restoration work or have done restoration work, doing the research necessary to understand what current conditions are so that we have a baseline to evaluate how well the system responded to the intervention. And then for projects where we've had interventions, we're monitoring to see how quickly those resources recover. We have a 9-month-a-year freshwater monitoring program where we're looking at 50 ponds in collaboration with Barnstable County, understand water quality in our ponds so we can do some broad characterizations of what's going on there. We run a very robust cyanobacteria monitoring program in our freshwater ponds, 150-odd ponds across the Cape, where we look for presence or absence of cyanobacteria, where we find presence in sufficient density that it creates the possibility of toxic releases from the cyanobacteria. We have an online mapping tool that we notify the public about the presence of those things and advise them on restricting or limiting their access and utilization of those water bodies. We have a few hundred volunteers that work with us on a variety of programs and efforts, everything from helping us with office work to being out in the field. The vast majority of the cyanobacteria samples that we collect are collected through engagement with volunteers. So we have an extensive training program with volunteers. They allow us to have a much broader scope program. Our baseline water quality work that we're doing with the county on the 50 ponds, every one of our samples is taken with a volunteer. Volunteers are at the core of the annual herring counting that we do as an organization in the spring. It tends to focus in the spring and the spring migration. We have dozens of people that are out in the field counting. So volunteers are a really important part of extending the work that we can do. So for anybody who's interested in learning anything about any of our programs, cyanobacteria, sign up for alerts, volunteer, just become more environmentally aware, visit our website at apcc.org. While we're still relatively small, we have been growing. I think our growth is in response to a desire from the people who live, work, and recreate on Cape Cod to preserve the nature of the environment that drew them here in the first place. And, the threats to our environment are significant and real. The destiny of this is not preordained, and how it comes out has a lot to do with what we do to be active, to take common sense steps to preserve the environment, and that's what we're all about.
This two-toned VW microbus has likely caught the attention of many passersby as they headed down this little stretch of Route 28 in Chatham. The building behind it may have very well lured in even more weary travelers driving through this way. Such was the case for Andrea Towie when she looked into the former home of the Chatham Jam and Jelly Shop, located here on the corner of Main and Sequansit.
I was flipping properties at the time, so I was keeping my eye on the real estate. So when this came on the market, it was incredibly serendipitous because I have a nonprofit called JAM, which is an acronym for Junior Art and Music. And I thought, what better way to support JAM than make jam?
And make jam they do. On the morning we popped in, the kitchen crew were in the process of putting together a bountiful batch of Blueberry Thrill.
We mix the fruit and the sugar and pectin all together in a pot and bring it to a boil. And there's certain amounts and times that we do for all the different fruits, very scientific. And then we place it into clean, sterilized jars. We have to wipe each rim of each jar with a cloth to clean it, and then we seal them and we put them in our double boiler to boil them to seal those jars.
While this group of kitchen staffers will spend a majority of their time here in the back of the house producing delectable jams and other tasty treats, they know that in the bigger picture, what they're doing is creating a pretty special experience for everyone at the front of the house.
It's pretty uncommon. Usually you're not going to find a place that's a coffee shop, bakery, sort of jam production all in one. And certainly in places I've worked in the past, I've made small batches of jam for special events or just for breakfast service. So this is a pretty uncommon thing to have going on, which makes it a really cool concept, I think.
Part of that concept, along with the coffee, espresso, lattes, and treats, is creating an environment where the patrons pay a little less attention to their screens and more attention to the people that they're with, as well as their surroundings.
I think our goal is really for this to be a third place for people to get off their devices, make eye contact, communicate, doodle, read, puzzles, games, whatever. Because we're doing this so often, and that still happens, and I'm not going to shun anyone for doing that, but I think I'm hoping to inspire people to get off their devices and be creative and make eye contact.
Adding to the experience here is the opportunity to catch some live music. Now, normally the sound sessions take place during the weekend hours, but a couple of guys were nice enough to hop on stage to practice their strumming patterns and perfect their picking skills for our entertainment. Of course, running a business on Cape Cod when it's warm and looks like this outside is a whole different animal than running one when it's cold and looks like this. But around here, at the place named in honor of a famous Jimi Hendrix song, the music plays on. For all of Hey Joe and Jam's unique features, there is one that stands out in comparison to many of the other local businesses around here, and that is the winter of '26 is the first winter that they've had to endure. And true to their unique form, they're taking an unorthodox approach to the winter months, thanks to strong support from the summer months.
Ironically, instead of shutting down our hours, we've expanded them because we want this to be a real community space for people to come in when the days are getting shorter, and they need a space to go to with a third place, where they can write or just meet up with friends, book groups. So we're really just kind of trying to reach out to the community during the winter months and be some place for them to come and experience coffee at a different level.
They'd also like to increase their production of jams for wholesale to hopefully offset the traditional wintertime shortfalls that most Cape Cod businesses experience. As far as the actual experience that people have when they visit Dre Towie's passion project known as Hey Joe and Jam, in her short time overseeing this operation, everything seems to be going according to plan.
I think the number one word that people use when they enter and exit is vibe, like what a great vibe, on top of great coffee and incredible baked goods and jam. But the vibe has been like the word across the board.
Hey, I'm Kayla. I was an intern at Cape Media Center back in 2019, and that experience totally launched my career in media.
And I'm Destiny. I was right there with Kayla in 2019, learning everything from camera work to editing and loving every second of it.
The staff here at Cape Media Center were always hands-on and always willing to answer our questions, especially with our final project.
We created a series of videos called the Blue Economy Project, where we dove deeper into how the ocean plays a vital role in Cape Cod's economy.
The series was well approved, and we couldn't have done it without the Cape Media Center.
Fast forward to now, I'm working in live music production and have even worked at venues such as Gillette Stadium and Fenway Park.
And I actually came full circle. I'm back at the Cape Media Center, this time on staff.
Cape Media Center gave us the tools, the confidence, and the real-world experience to chase our creative goals.
It's more than just a media center, it's a launch pad for your future.
Start your story at Cape Media Center in Dennisport.
Cape Media Center, your voice, your vision, your community.